This conference will now be recorded.
In order to succeed, your desire for success should be greater than your fear of failure. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope all are doing well. I'm Anita from ECE Department of Loyola Institute of Technology. I welcome you all for this wonderful webinar on ecosystem restoration. Prayer is the most important conversation of your day. Take it to God before you take it to anyone else. Now I call upon Ajay and Akash to lead us with a word of prayer. Over to you, Ajay.
Today's Bible reading is taken from the book of Psalm, chapter 111, verses 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. All those who practice it have a good understanding. His praise endures forever. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Over to you, Akash.
Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Over to you, Anita.
Thank you, Ajay and Akash. Now I call upon Ms. Jeevita to deliver the welcome address. Over to you, Jeevita.
Thank you, Anita. Good evening to everyone gathered here. I hope everyone is safe and doing good. It's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to you all. And on behalf of Loyola Institute of Technology, Management, Administrator, Principal Dr. Sujata Anand Ma'am, and Vice Principal cum HOD of EC Department, Dr. L. Nalli Joseph Ma'am. We wholeheartedly welcome all the participants for this webinar. On behalf of the department, we, the student coordinators, welcome our speaker of today's session, Dr. Jayaprakash, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry in SRM Valiamma Engineering College, Chennai. It's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to you, sir. Your presence makes us very happy. I am sure we will be able to enrich our knowledge by this webinar on ecosystem restoration. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation even in your busy schedule. We welcome you wholeheartedly for this webinar, sir. In this context, I welcome all the coordinators of this webinar, faculty members of ECE and Chemistry Department, and professional friends to make this happen. Dear participants, once again, I welcome you all for this wonderful technical day. Thank you. Over to you, Anita.
Thank you, Jeevita. May I call upon Ms. Sharmila of EC Department to introduce our speaker. Over to you, Sharmila.
Thank you, Anita. Good evening to all. I am Sharmila. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our resource person, Dr. N. Jayaprakash. He received his doctorate in chemistry from University of Madras, Chennai in the year 2016. He has published research articles over 11 international and national journals and presented papers in many international and national conferences. He organized many conferences, seminars, and workshops at national level for faculty members, research scholars, and students. He is a life member in various professional societies such as ISTE, IACG, IAE, IAENG, Society for Chemical Engineering, and ISCA. He published 3 books related to engineering chemistry and environmental pollution. Currently, he is working as Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry in SRM Valiamma Engineering College, Chennai. He has more than 13 years of experience in teaching field, and his area of research includes synthesis, characterization, photocatalytic, and biomedical applications of nanomaterials. Now, he is with us to make this section more interesting and knowledgeable. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and giving your precious time for us. We all are eagerly awaiting for your wonderful session, sir. Sir, the stage is yours. Over to you, Anita.
Thank you, Sharmila. The struggle you are in today is developing. the strength you need for tomorrow. Now, most awaited session of the day, let us go to enhance knowledge in ecosystem restoration. I request Dr. Jayaprakash, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, SRM Valliyamma Engineering College, Chennai. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for the introduction. First, I would like to thank the management of Loyola Institute of Technology, principal, vice principal, and the coordinators of the webinar for inviting me as a guest lecturer. So thank you all for your invitation and welcome everything. Okay, now I would like to start my session. So first, you should understand our ecosystem. Our ecosystem consists of everything. So without our the different things which are available in the ecosystem, we cannot live. So we are depending each and everything which are available in our environment or in the ecosystem. So the ecosystem restoration is a title for the today webinar. So why I have chosen this title for today webinar, that is every June 5th is celebrated as a World Environment Day. So tomorrow is a June 5th, so in which they are going to celebrate the World Environmental Day. So in the theme of ecosystem restoration. So each and every year they are celebrating in particular theme. So that's why I have chosen this ecosystem restoration. That may be the rememberable things in your mind. So that's why I have chosen this one. Then yes, that's June 5th of every year. So we are celebrating the World Environment Day. So for the theme of 2021, that is ecosystem restoration. The theme of World Environment Day for the last 5 years. So for the 2021, that is ecosystem restoration. Then 2020, that was biodiversity. In 2019, there is a air pollution. 2018, there is a bead plastic pollution. In 2017, there is a connecting people with nature. So, okay, this theme has been created by each and every year by different countries. So, in 2018, the bead plastic pollution. So, this theme is given by us. So, we have highlighted this theme on to the United Nations. So, where the World Environmental Day has been introduced in 1972 in the international conference. So from this 1974 onwards, they are started to celebrate the World Environment Day. Okay, so from the 1974 onwards, each and every country are giving some theme for the World Environment Day celebration. So there is in 1980 we have given the theme, that is a beat plastic pollution. In 2019, the China has given the theme, that is air pollution. In 2020, there's a Colombia has given the theme, that is biodiversity. In 2021, the Pakistan has given this ecosystem restoration theme. Okay, so that is a basic idea why it is when it is started the World Environmental Day. When it started to name as a theme, then you should have the basic idea about that. That's why I just have given in the slides. Okay, next we move to this our syllabus. So I have selected a few topics from each and every unit. There is from the first unit, there is environment, ecosystem, and biodiversity. So from which I have taken only the introduction of biodiversity. So you should understand what is a biodiversity. First, bio means is nothing but there is a life. Diversity means that is nothing but there is a variety. So diversity is nothing but that means there is a variety. So wide variety of life on the earth. Yes, we could see there's a different lives, different species available in the earth. So each and every one of us are depending the different species. So if one species is not available, that is very difficult to survival of the another species. So that's why there are wide varieties of species available in our earth. That is, everything is interrelated. So the definition for this biodiversity is so variety and variability among all the group of living organisms. So variety and variability among all groups of living organisms. Yes, there's a different varieties and variabilities available in all kind of group of living organisms. Okay, then you should understand how many species available in our earth. So there are around 20 million species are available. The 20 million organic species available, organisms, of which only 1.5, around 1.5 million species have been identified so far. So there are remaining 18.5 million species are available. That is, we need to identify those species. So we have identified only with the 1.5 million species. So even the 1.5 million species are large in number. So still we are losing such kind of species in our life. Then we should know the significance of biodiversity. So the importance of biodiversity or the significance of biodiversity. Why do we give importance for the biodiversity? Yes, our human life depends on the plant, microorganisms, earth, animals for food, medicine, and industrial products. So we are depending others for our day-to-day needs. So that's why the biodiversity is very important. Then the biodiversity protects the fresh air, clean water, and productive land. Yes. So we need a fresh and a clean air, as well as we need a clean water. So without that, we cannot live. So the biodiversity protects those things. So it is also important for the forestry, fishery, and agriculture. So which depend on a rich variety of various biological resources. Yes, when you see in the forest or in the agriculture land or the fishery, so we could see different varieties of species in the forest as well as in the fishes as well as in the agriculture land. So that's a different varieties available. Then the loss of biodiversity as serious economic and social cost for our country. If there is a loss of biodiversity, yes, that is a serious problem to every country. Next, the impact of biodiversity. That's the impact of biodiversity loss. So the biodiversity should not undergo extinction condition. So we need each and every biodiversity in our yeah. So that's why the loss of biodiversity, if there is a loss of biodiversity, what will the problem we are going to see? Or what is the reason for the loss of biodiversity? So the first reason, the farmer prefers hybrid seeds. As a result, many plant species become extinct. So the farmers not only prefer the hybrid seed, there is a two reasons behind that. One is farmer wants to earn more money within a particular period by using the minimum fertilizers and the pesticides to their crops. Then only they can get a more money out of the product. So that's why they are preferring the hybrid seeds. The another thing, so we people are preferring the different varieties of rice as well as species. That is, rice means we are having different rice like basmati, siraga samba, saponi. So different varieties of rices available. No? So that is a reason for the loss of biodiversity. Then for the production of drugs, the pharmaceutical companies collect the wild plants. So even chemically, the drugs can be synthesized, but many of the drugs still are produced from the some forest wild plants. Next, the tropical forest is the main source of world medicine. Yes, um, that is a source of many herbals from the tropical forest. So every year these forests are disappearing due to the agriculture, mining, and lacking things. So nearly 0.5 percentage of land is disappearing in the tropical forest region. Then classification of biodiversity. There are three types of biodiversities available. The first one is genetic diversity. So genetic diversity means there is a variation in the gene of the particular species. That is a genetic diversity. So variation of gene within a species, that is known as a genetic diversity. So the example for the genetic diversity, that's a teakwood varieties and rice varieties are the example for this genetic diversity. Teakwood, there is the Indian teak, Burma teak, and Malaysian teak. So we could have the different teakwood. The reason with the values of different teakwoods depends on the quality and nature of the teakwood. So that's why we could have the different types of teakwood available in the shop. Then species diversity. So it is a diversity between the different species. So there is a different species available. That is a species diversity. One is a plant species, another one may be the animal species. That is a species diversity. When you come to the plant species, there is a plant species itself. We could have the different types of plant, like apple, mango, grapes, wheat, like that. So we could have the different types of plant species. In the same way, we could have the different types of animal species, like lion, tiger, cow, like that. Then community or ecosystem diversity. The diversity at the ecological or habitat level, that is known as a ecosystem or community diversity. So example for this community or ecosystem diversity is there's a river ecosystem is an example. So why the river ecosystem is a big example for this community or ecosystem diversity means in the river itself we could have the different fishes, aquatic insects, and variety of plant species available in the river ecosystem. So not only the river ecosystem, even if you take a ocean or lake or river ecosystem, there are different species will be available in the particular ecosystem. Next, the values of biodiversity. So the value is how the biodiversity is useful for us. That's the values of biodiversity. So the first is a conceptive value, conceptive use value. The second one is a protective use value. So these two are comes under the category of direct values. So that means that these two are directly useful for us. So that way this comes under the category of direct use value. So direct values of biodiversity. There is a conceptive use value. Another one is a productive use value. So how it is called? Why it is called like a direct use value? That means so those products can be utilized by us directly. So that's why it's known as a direct use value. So concept use value means so we could get a so products such a product from the natural resources, so which can be utilized by us, that cannot be commercialized or that cannot be sent to the selling purposes. So that is a conceptual value that could be conceived by us. So example for those things, that is a food, drug, and fuel. So which can be utilized by us. That is a conceptual use value. So it is directly useful for us. Then the second one, there's a protective use value. That means that it may be harvested. First, it may be cultivated, harvested, then that can be sent for the commercial purposes, that can be sold out in the market. So that is a protective use value. Even that could be useful for us directly in the form of like selling the product. So that's a silk, leather, wood, or so wool are some example for the protective use value. So these two comes under the category of direct use that will be directly useful for us. The remaining four, there's a social values, ethical values, aesthetic values, and optional values. These four values are comes under the category of indirect use values. So indirect means that is not directly useful, or sometimes it may be useful, or sometimes it may not be useful for us. So that's why it is known as an indirect values of indirect use value. first you should know what is the social values. So some natural systems or natural species are directly related with our society. So that is a holy plants and holy animals. So even we are taking a holy plant like tulasi, neem, all those things as a holy plants, and the holy animals like we are worship some animals like a cow and some birds like a peacock like that. So that is directly helpful for those animals. So that is known as a social values. Then ethical values are existence values. So ethical value means we should give some important for the some species, like all the live should live in the earth. So we should give the important for the each and every life which is available in our earth. So that's why there's a ethical values. So we should give the important for the each and every species which is available in our earth. So there's a worship plants, animals, rivers, and mountains. So we should give the importance for everything. So plant, animals, river, and mountains. So usually we sometimes we worship the plant and animals, rivers, and mountains. Then aesthetic values. So here aesthetic means nothing but there is beautiful nature of the some plants or species or animals or the ecosystem. There is an aesthetic value. So the best example is ecotourism is the best example for the aesthetic value. So and pleasant music of wild birds, so color of the butterfly, so color of the flowers, color of the peacocks. So if you look at the beauty of those things, you can give the importance, you can preserve those species in our earth. So that's why it is a aesthetic value. The last one is the optional value. That's a optional value is nothing but, so we are not understanding the importance of certain species that may be useful for our future. Then even sometimes that species can be used as a medicinal plant in future. So the optional values is nothing but, so we don't know the importance of such a species right now, but we can understand the importance of those species in future. So that is known as the optional values. So these values of biodiversity is very, very important in the exam point of view. So there is a first two, there is a conceptive use value and the productive use value. These two are comes under the category of like a direct use value. The remaining four, is social values, ethical values, aesthetic values, optional values. These four are comes under the category of like a indirect use value. Okay. Next, I just want to highlight that there's an hotspot of biodiversity in India. So in the worldwide, there are 25 hotspots available. 25 hotspots available in the worldwide. So in that, so India has two hotspots. The first one is Eastern Himalayas. Then second one is Western Ghats. So these two are hotspot in our India. So why it is called hotspot? What is a hotspot? Why we are highlighting that two hotspots? The first thing, so hotspot is nothing but where the hotspot is an area where the endemic species are available. So endemic species is nothing but the species can live only in a particular area that is known as the endemic species. So even in our India, so these eastern Himalayas as well as western Ghats, in these two places are in the area, we could see so many species, even endemic as well as endangered species are available only in these two places in our country. So that's why we should give the importance for the biodiversity, because as we know that there are 195 countries available in the worldwide. Out of 195, so only 25 countries are having the rich biodiversity, in which India has a two places. That's Eastern Himalayas and also Western Ghats. So these two are important hotspot in our country. Next, causes for loss of biodiversity are various threats to the biodiversity. Yes, we could have. That's a reason for the loss of biodiversity. Is losses is yes, we should not accept the loss of biodiversity. That's a very important for us. So even there is no threat to the biodiversity. Even so, we should maintain, we should preserve our biodiversity. So even there are some loss of biodiversity available in our country. So how should we protect that? So for that, what are the losses of biodiversity available? So if we know the losses of biodiversity, then we should know how to protect it. So first we will see the types of threats to the biodiversity. There are three threats available. The first one is habitat loss. Second one is uh, poaching. Third one is a man-wildlife conflict. So habitat loss is nothing but there is a loss of their living place is a habitat loss. So they don't have the place to live. So the reason for the loss of their place, uh, maybe some reason like deforestation or so production of some drugs. So for that they are getting some drugs from the forest. So that's why some habitat loss in the forest. Even illegal trading. So even illegal trading of some plant species as well as animal species. So that leaves habitat loss for some species. Then for getting some raw materials for the industrial purposes, then even some development activities in the industry which affects the plant and animal species in our earth, that is known as a habitat loss. Then poaching, that is nothing but the killing of the animal as a killing and the hunting of um, animals. There is the reason for killing as well as hunting of animal. Um, there's a human population, so there's a human population is a very high, so that's why they need most of the materials like even plant species or animal species for their food. So that's why the poaching will be there. It's a hunting of animal. Then commercial activities. Um, so for there is a commercial activities, commercial purposes like animal skin, some live specimens, so herbal products for the drugs. So for that, they are killing some animals. That's a poaching. That's a hunting and killing of animal. That is known as a poaching. Then wildlife conflict. So wildlife conflict. The wildlife conflict arises when there's injured animals in the forest region. So if they may enter into the or if people living in the nearby the forest area, so the injured animal may attack the people who are living the nearby the forest area. So sometimes the farmer can put some electrical wiring as a fence in their land, so to protect some losses, agricultural losses. So if any animals injured due to the electrical wiring, so that has a tendency to attack the farmer. Then due to want of some food, so human can kill the animal species. So there is a conflict between the man and wildlife conflicts. The mostly such kind of conflict only in the nearby the forest area. Then, so you should understand some endangered and endemic species. So the International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources has given some definition for endangered, endemic, and vulnerable rat species. Yes, extinct species. That means no longer the species are no longer found in the world. That is known as an extinct species. The species are not available in our world. That is an extinct species. The endangered species, that is nothing but its number has been reduced to the critical level. So that means that number of the particular species is getting less than 10% in the worldwide. That is known as an endangered species. If any number is less than 10, then that is comes under the category of like endangered species. Then endemic species, the species can be found only in a particular region or in the particular area, that is known as an endemic species. The another one, vulnerable species, that is its population is facing continuous decline. So the vulnerable species, the population is continuously decreasing. That is a vulnerable species. Then rare species, it is localized within a restricted area, or they are thinly scattered over a more extensive area. So these rare species are not endangered or endemic species. So these species are rarely available in any of the places. So that's why it is known as a rare species. Next, there is a conservation of the biodiversity. So this conservation of biodiversity is also important. There are two types of biodiversity conservations available. The first one is the in situ conservation. The another one is the ex situ conservation. So in situ ex situ conservation is nothing but there is a conservation of flora and fauna within their habitat is known as an in situ conservation. So it can preserve the plant or animal species can be preserved in their own places. So there is a within their habitat there is an in situ conservation. So ex situ conservation is nothing but the conservation of flora and fauna outside their habitat is known as a ex situ conservation. That means that the conservation of plant and animal species outside of their living places or outside of their habitat, that is a ex situ conservation. There are different methods, conservation methods available in our country for in situ conservation. First, we will see the in situ conservation methods. The first one is a biosphere resource. Nearly 5,000 square kilometer space available. That is biosphere resource. There are totally 7 biosphere resources available in our India. Then national parks, nearly 18 national parks available in our country. The size of the national parks around 5 square kilometer. Sorry, 500 square kilometer. Then wildlife sanctuaries, there is 420 wildlife sanctuaries available. Then botanical garden, around 120 botanical gardens available. So then theme sanctuaries. So these are the some in situ conservation methods available. So even you could know near the Chengalpattu, we could have the sanctuaries. That is a wildlife. There's a bird sanctuaries available in the Vadandongal. Yes. Next, we move to the ex situ conservation. Yes, ex situ conservation is mainly for some preservation of seeds, some tissue culture. So for that only this kind of ex situ conservations are useful. So the first one is the National Bureau of Plant Gene Resources. The second one is a National Bureau of Animal Genetic Resources. The third one is the National Facility for Plant Tissue Culture Respiratory. So these are the 3 important ex situ conservations are available in our country. Okay, so the advantages and the disadvantages of these in situ and the ex situ conservations. So both the conservation methods are having some advantage as well as disadvantage. So in situ conservation advantages. So the species can live in their natural environment. So so it is free. Then it can live. Even the endangered species can be maintained, and it can have their own life. But in ex situ conservation, so that is available in a particular boundary, so or it can be kept inside of the particular boundary itself. So there is a very difficult to live animal species in the ex situ conservation. Then in situ conservation requires a huge amount of land. Yes, because we are going to have this a natural habitat, no? So for that, it requires a huge amount of land space required for the in situ conservation. But ex-situ conservation requires very small spaces enough to conserve the species. Then in-situ conservation is a cheapest method, but it requires a large size of area. Even that is very difficult to maintain the place in the in-situ conservation methods. But in ex-situ conservation, the ex-situ conservation methods are very costly because very small in size. But there's a preservative equipment, preservative systems we have to create. So for that, we have to spend more money for the ex-situ conservation. Then the manpower requirement is very less for the ex-situ conservation because it's very small. That is easy to maintain the species which are available in the ex-situ conservation. So very difficult to maintain the in-situ conservation because it's a large space. So large number of people are required to maintain the in-situ conservation. Okay, next. Yes, that's all about biodiversity. So I've taken these topic that's related to the biodiversity from the first unit. Okay, so the students may have some doubt in that. That's why I just want to clarify. I just want to make some important idea about this biodiversity. Next, we move to the second unit. That is environmental pollution. Yes, we are polluting our environment every day. So even unknowingly, that makes a lot of trouble for us. Okay, so that is our responsibility to preserve and to make a clean and green environment. Okay, so the pollution is nothing but that is an unfavorable, undesirable, unwanted alteration to our environment is known as a environmental pollution. So there are some types of environmental pollutions. There's air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, marine pollution, noise pollution, thermal pollution, and nuclear hazards pollution. So these are the pollutions are very important. So even which are available in the syllabus, when you write any kind of like a pollution, you should concentrate or you should write the definition of the pollution. Then you should write causes of the particular pollution. What is the reason for the particular pollution? Then third one you should write that is the effect of the particular pollution. So what are the problems we are facing, or the environmental is facing, or some animals facing? So you should enlighten about the effect of the particular pollution. So finally, you should write how to control or how to minimize the particular pollution. So here I am going to take only the water pollution, soil pollution, marine pollution, noise pollution, thermal pollution, nuclear hazard pollution. If you know the source or if you know the causes of the particular pollution, if you minimize, if you do some remedies for those causes, you can control the particular pollution. So that is very easy. So if you know the source, if you know the causes for the particular pollution, if you rectify that, you can control the pollution. So that is a very simple. So we have some techniques for the air pollution. So that's why I'm going to mention only about the control measures of air pollution. Yes, electrostatic precipitator. The first air pollution method is a electrostatic precipitator. You should know. Usually, you know that electrostatic is nothing but there is a anode and a cathode. There's a positive and negative sign electrodes available. If you pass a dirty air into the system, so there is a flue gas entries. That's a if you pass this flue gases into the system, there is a positive and negative sign available. So the positive electrode attracts a negative particles which are available in the flue gases. In the same way, the negative ions attract the positive charge ions which is available in the flue gases. So those particles attracted by the opposite charges of the electrodes, then it will be settled down. Then that can be removed as an ash at the bottom. So finally, the pure there's a flue gas. There's a without any dust particles. So that comes out another way. So that can be passed into our environment. So because if there is a huge dust particles available, that makes so much of trouble to our environment. So we must treat the air pollution when we discharge. So there is a simple method. That's an electrostatic precipitator. The next one is a bag house filters. So the dirty air is passed into the backhouse filter method. So there are some bags available inside that. There is a cloth bags available. So it purifies the dirty air. So some particles, if the dust particles available, that will be settled down in the bag itself. Finally, it comes at the bottom of the instrument. Then it can be easily removed. It works as like a filter. So the filter bags clean the air, then it gives out the clean air in the top of the instrument. So that is a bag house filter method. Next, cyclone separator. So here there is we are passing the dirty air inside the instrument at the top, but the rotation of this air in the cyclone form, that's why it is known as a cyclone separator. So once you pass this dirty air into the system, the dirty air will be moving in this cyclone form. So when it is reaches the sides of the separator, then it gives out its dirt particle. So all the dust particles will settle on at the bottom. Then the pure air, that's a clean air, can be collected at the top of the instrument. Then wet scrubber. So wet scrubber is nothing but we are passing the dirty air in the presence of water or in the presence of some other solvent. So the dust particle will dissolve in the water itself. The remaining pure gas comes out. So that is a very simple. That is known as a wet scrub. Next we enter into the third unit. There's a natural resources, in which I'm going to take only the food resources for the third unit. So food is very essential for everyone. So without the food we cannot live. So each and everyone should have the minimum food for our survival. So food is nothing but it consists of like a carbohydrate, fat, proteins, minerals, and vitamins. So everything together only we can say that's a required food. So if anything is not if the food consists of only the carbohydrate, that is not a good food. So the food consists of carbohydrate, fats, proteins, minerals, everything. The types of food supply. Yes, we should know what are the types of food can be produced. So there is a cropland. Nearly 76% of world foods are produced from the cropland. So there is a cropland is a main grain. So there is a production of rice. That is a cropland. So range land is nothing but that is mainly for the grass and livestock. That provides nearly the 17% of world food. That is some meat. So we are getting some milk, meat. That's like no. So from the animals. So that is a range land. So from the cattle we could get some food that is known as a range food, range land. That is a range land. Then ocean. So nearly 7% of world foods can be obtained from the ocean. So world food problems. Why there is a world food problems? Why do we getting such a problems in the worldwide? The first one, less land space available in our country. So specifically in our country, we have very less land space. That means if you look at the worldwide, we could have nearly 80% of water and around 20% of land space available in the worldwide. So in the 20% of land space, we are having only 2% of land space. So when compared with the worldwide, we are having only the 2% of land space. In the 2% of land space, we are having the 16% of population in the worldwide. So when we compare with the worldwide, we are having the 60% of population, but our land space is only around 2%. So we don't have enough space to produce a large amount of food for the people. So that is a one problem. The another one, so population explosion is so country like India and China, there are huge amount of populations available. So they could not produce for the required food. It is very difficult for production of huge quantity of population. Even in our India, we are around 130 crore populations available in our India. In China, around 150 crore available. Yes, so these two countries nearly occupies the 40% of world population. Then land degradation, so it's another problem for the food problem. Then urbanization, so this urbanization is gradually increasing. Then only the particular major food grains for all the people. Yes, when we have in the South India, so we prefer only the rice as a main food. So people who are in North India, they prefer only the wheat as a main food. So there is a preferring of particular food is another problem. So we cannot produce only particular food grain in a land. So we cannot produce alternatively or a different food in our country. So we should prefer only the particular food grain. That is another problem. Then types of agriculture. Traditional agriculture and modern agriculture. There are two types of agriculture available. Traditional agriculture is nothing but we should produce the grains and some required materials for our family is known as the traditional agriculture. So in which we are not using the much fertilizers and fertilizers for the production. But when we have the modern agriculture, so we are concentrating on more on yield of the product, yield of the particular crop. Then we are concentrating on loss of the there should not be no loss when we produce any particular crops. So for that they are using large quantity of fertilizers and pesticides. So the usage of such a large quantity of pesticides and fertilizers makes some problems. So so we have to look at the effect of modern agriculture or impact of adopting the modern agriculture. So that is a very important topic in this food resources. Yes, the first problem. So problems by using fertilizers. Yes, we could have the three types of problems by using the fertilizers. The first problem is a micronutrient imbalance. Yes, usually the fertilizers consist of NPK. That's a nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. So these three are main ingredient for the macronutrient. So these macronutrients are given to the crops as a main ingredient. So by the fertilizers, but we need some micronutrients which are neglected, which are not given to the crops. So that's why it is known as a micronutrient imbalance. So they are concentrating only on the macronutrient, not the micronutrient. So there's a micronutrient imbalance will take place when we use fertilizers in the modern agriculture. Then it makes another problem. That's a blue baby syndrome is another problem. What is a blue baby syndrome? So the baby will be in the blue color. So the born baby will be in the blue color. They should have some problem. So the reason for the blue baby, if the nitrate concentration, that's the nitrogen content in the fertilizer land is more than 25 milligram per liter RPM, which creates blue baby syndrome. Even this blue baby syndrome make the children to die because that much problem that will create. So it affects particularly the children. Then eutrophication. That's a eutrophication is nothing but the overgrowth of the plant species. Even the sodium, potassium, or nitrogen-based fertilizers are used in the agriculture field. So these agricultural water may enter into the lake or pond or river. At the time, there is some species like aquatic species may be available in the lake. So due to these fertilizers, the aquatic species will grow faster than it undergo decomposition. So there's an abnormal growth for the species that is known as eutrophication. Then there's a problem for using the pesticides. That is, so death of non-targeted organisms. Because when we use a pesticides in the agriculture field, we could use a two types of pesticides. One is a first generation pesticides, another one is a second generation pesticides. So both the pesticides are very harmful. Yes, so it may affect the non-targeted organisms. So we are adding some pesticides to kill only the particular pest, but sometimes that pesticides may kill some other organisms which may be helpful for us, that may be killed by the particular pesticides. Next, producing the new super pest. Yes, continuously, if we are using this kind of pesticides in the agriculture land, the species or the pests which are available in the crop land that has some resistant power on its own, it easily adopts that resistance, then it produces some super pest that is known as the producing new super pest. Then biomagnification, that is nothing but there's a storage of some pesticides in the animal and the human body through the food chain. So some pesticides may be accumulated in the plants. So from the plant to the animal, animal to the human. So like that, through the food chain, the pesticides may be accumulated in the human being. That is known as a biomagnification. Then risk of cancer. Even usage of such fertilizers, it makes a cancer in our body. Then third is a water logging. It's a so continuously standing water in a particular place more than 6 months, that is known as a water logging. So the water logging may affect the production of the crop. So that is one of the problem. Then salinity. So some salt may be available in the water. The water may evaporate, the salt may be settled in the soil itself. So that is known as a salinity. So these are the problems we will face when we adopt the modern agriculture. So there is no other way. So for our world population, so we are taking to this kind of modern agriculture. So without modern agriculture, so we cannot fulfill our food resources. So that's why that's a very important. So we should adopt usage of less fertilizers and less pesticides. That may be good. Then we enter into the fourth unit. That's the social issues and environment. There's urban problems related to the energy. That is, urbanization is the most is a movement of human population from rural area to the urban area for the want of better education, communication, health, employment. Yes, so that's why when you take a Chennai, there is the urbanization is gradually increasing. Even the Chennai area is expanded up to the Pudamalli or Sriperumbudur. In another way, in another side, up to the Chengalpet and up to the Trivandrum. So in different part, the expansion of urban is increasing due to the overpopulation in the city. Then cause of urbanization, that is economic growth, trade, transportation, education, medical facilities, and the employment. Rural people moves to the city. So that's why the rural people are moving towards the city for these advantages. So energy demanding activities. When compared with the rural, cities are using city people are using the more amount of energy. Like urban people may use public transport instead of using motor vehicle and the car. So energy consumption must be minimized in all aspects. So production capacity may be increased. Use of energy efficient technology. Yes, energy efficient technology means there's a 4-star, 5-star refrigerators or air conditioner. So if you adopt that things, that is an energy efficient technology. Then using solar energy and wind energy, there is already energy sources. There is a renewable energy sources. So which can fulfill our energy requirement. Then imposing strict laws and penalties and the energy audit is very important to solve the energy related problems. Okay, there is energy conservation. The process of saving water for the future utilization is known as a water conservation. So yes, during the rainy season, so we could get a enormous amount of water. Even underground, there is a lot of water available in the borewell. But in the summer season, so we don't have water. So that is a problem we are facing most of the years. So the process of saving water for the future utilization is known as a water conservation. Yes, so we don't have underground water. Even there is a draft. Even there is a more populations available, so want of water is more. Even there is a less annual rainfall. So for that we need water conservation. Yes, there are two methods of two main water conservation methods available. The first one is a rainwater harvesting. The second one is a watershed management. So these two are important conservation water conservation methods. So first, the rainwater harvesting is an important one. So the rainwater harvesting is a technique of capturing and storing of rainwater for the further utilization. Yes, it is a technique of capturing and storing of rainwater for further utilization. So I'm end of the session, so I just want to hurry with this slide. So you just look at that. There is a example for rainwater harvesting. So that is a rooftop method. So from the rooftop, we can collect the rainwater. Then that is passed into the filter, because there must be some dust particles available in the water. So we have to filter that particle in the filter. There is a filtration tanks available for that. Then the water is passed into the there's a pit, that is a recharge pit for borewell. The pit means the pit consists of some sand and stone, in which the water will be filtered. Again, when it is reaches when there is a overflow of this pit, then it reaches the borewell. So it is not necessary to store the water in the borewell. Even if you have the facility of well in your house, you can pass this water from the pit to the well. There is another method available. After the filtration, we can store the water directly into the storage tank. If you have the sump in your house, you can store this water in your house. That water can be utilized in the future. Even that water could be used for the some cleaning purposes, like a gardening purposes or cleaning of car or vehicle, something. So that is a rainwater harvesting. Yes. Then we have this watershed management. There's a management of rainfall and the resultant runoff is called watershed management. Okay, so there's a rainwater harvesting method is for rooftop method. So that is a rooftop rainwater is collected, then stored, or then it is passed into the underground to increase the rainwater level, okay, underground water level. So there is a watershed management is the runoff water in the road or in the somewhere, some in garden or in the park. So that water is collected, then it is maintained, then that can be used for the future purposes. So for that, I would like to show them one video. So audio is not necessary. Okay, so the roadside drainage is a kind of like a watershed management. There's a runoff water is stored for the our future purposes. That is known as a watershed management. Okay, so yes, we are shortage of time. Okay, so I will wind up my session. Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir, if you want, you can take. You can finish it, sir. No problem.
No, ma'am, no, ma'am. That's enough.
Okay.
I just want to cover the important things.
Okay,
Yes, I
sir.
have covered everything. That is enough, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Thanks for the wonderful session, sir. It was very knowledgeable and insightful information. This will enrich our knowledge in ecosystem restoration. Now we have come to question and answer session. Raghavi will take over the question and answer session. Over to you, Raghavi.
Thank you, Anita. Sir, there are some queries from our participants. Due to time limitation,
Yes.
some questions will be answered. And the first question, sir, what are the technical ways to preserve biodiversity?
What are the
Technical ways to preserve biodiversity.
technical ways to preserve biodiversity? I did not get your question.
Uh-huh. Okay, sir. Next question, sir.
Okay.
What are the
Is
most
there
effective?
just a minute? Is Dharani there? She is asked what are the technical ways, because we are adopting so many technical methodology now, sir, for anything in this technical world. So I think probably the question may be like that. Technical ways. WAYS.
Way. Oh, waste.
Way.
Okay.
Technical ways.
Okay.
Yeah. Technical ways.
Technical way to preserve the biodiversity. Okay.
What are the methodology we can adopt using technology like that? They are asking.
Yes. To preserve the biodiversity, we have only the two techniques. That is in situ and ex situ conservation. When compared with the ex situ conservation, the in situ conservation method is very good. Because the species can live in their natural habitat. That is the most preferable, because then only the species could grow well. So that's why the in situ conservation method is a preferable.
Okay, sir. Next question, sir.
Okay.
What are the most effective methods of nature protection and biodiversity currently?
Yes, that's the in situ conservation is the most conservation method for biodiversity. That's the in situ conservation. Yes. Next question.
Next question, sir. How species diversity varies with geographic pattern?
How?
Species diversity varies with geographic pattern.
Yes, there are different, even when we take in our India. So even in our India, we are having nearly 49,000 plant species and 89,000 animal species available. So these species will not be available same in some other country. So that's why we are the second largest biodiversity country. So there are totally 12 mega biodiversity countries available. So we are one of the mega biodiversity countries because we are having the rich number of plant and animal species. So obviously that will differ in each and every country.
Next question, sir. What is being done to preserve the biodiversity and its hotspots?
Yes, there are 12 hotspots available, no? In which there's 25 hotspots available, in which two are available in our. So there are endemic species are available in our hotspot. There's an endemic species which can live only in a particular area. So if you give much more important for endemic species, then we can increase the number of the species in the hotspot. So otherwise, the endemic species becomes endangered, then it becomes extinct species. So that's why we have to maintain, we have to preserve all the species.
Last question, sir. Does contemporary one just minute, sir. Does contemporary lifestyle supports biodiversity?
Yes, yes. Anyhow, we have to adopt even that is a contemporary biodiversity systems should support the species. So without the species, without the plant or animal species, we cannot survive. So even if there is a contemporary situation, we have to support, we have to adopt, we have to protect and conserve the biodiversity.
Thanks for answering all the questions, sir. Over to you, Anita.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raghavi. Tomorrow is the World Environment Day. Let's make a promise today that we would plant more trees and conserve energy to save our environment and the world. Love green, save your environment. Happy World Environment Day. Thanking a person for their work done for us is the greatest compliment we can ever give. May I call upon Ms. Lalita to deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, Lalita.
Thank you, Anita. Good evening, everyone. The respected and most distinguished chief guest, respected principal, our beloved vice principal cum HOD ma'am, our professors, and my dear friends, I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks for today's webinar. Let me first of all giving glory to Almighty God for making today's webinar a resounding success. Now, I would like to thank our speaker, Dr. Jayaprakash Sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, SRM Valliyamai Engineering College, Chennai, for visiting and enlightening us with his knowledge. Today's webinar was full of knowledge and interesting things. It gave deep insights into the topic. The informations where Sir told us about the ecosystem restoration was really informative. By this presentation, we could find more source to manage our ecosystem and to prevent our biodiversity that integrates the human society with its natural environment for the benefit of both. I am pretty sure the precious knowledge that Sir gave us will definitely help us in our studies and future. Once again, I would like to thank Dr. Jayaprakash Sir for taking out his time from his busy schedule and enlightening us with his knowledge. Thank you so much, Sir. The value of college education is not the learning of many facts, but the training of mind to think. So, I would like to thank our respected principal, Dr. Sujata Anand ma'am, and my sincere gratitude to our beloved Vice Principal cum HOD ma'am, Dr. L. Nalini Joseph ma'am, for her support and bringing out the speaker for this wonderful session. And my heartfelt thanks to the coordinators, Dr. Renuka Devi ma'am, Dr. Surendra Anand sir, Mrs. Mohanambal ma'am, Mr. Mahadevan sir, Mr. Mahendran sir, and Ms. Jasmine ma'am, who helped us with proper guidance and support. And I also want to thank the student committee who really worked hard to make this event a successful one. I heartily congratulate all the participants for their active participation. No program can become successful with a single person. So I extend my big thanks to our department. On behalf of the student coordinators, I thank our department staffs and students for their active support. Once again, I thank you everyone who all are gathered here and made this event a successful one. Thanks a lot. Over to you, Anita.